you all are here for the most riveting of all riveting conversations, which is about high governance environments. And it's been funny actually going through the process of prepping for this particular conversation, because it's like, what sort of information can we share? Because I'm joined by two, but now one esteemed colleague, because in these high assurance environments, what happens oftentimes is surprises. So I'm joined today by Nirmani, a wonderful customer and friend in a high assurance environment that's dealing in pharmaceuticals. And then also we were going to be joined by former Chief Master Sergeant Josh Lackey, but he's attending to a work emergency and is on a flight back home. So we're going to talk more on the pharma side of things, but it's highly applicable in the conversations that Nirmani and I have had, and Josh and I have had, all three of us have had. It's such a parallelism between what it looks like to try to keep agility in your organization and also move fast while also maintaining governance processes as well. So this is going to be a fun discussion, because the other thing that came out as we were prepping, and I was prepping with Josh, we were pulling some stuff, and he was like, well, I have to redact 90% of this if we're going to show it up on the screen. And I was like, we're doing a panel instead. We're going to talk about how you facilitate this, because everybody knows what this world looks like. How many folks do I have that live in this landscape of high governance, high assurance here in this room? Okay, cool. And a couple folks are just really fascinated with the topic, I see.
Healthcare.
Yes. So we'll take a moment. Hi, I'm Shannon Mason. I run strategy at Tempo. I'm responsible for all the trouble that we get into. We're at booth 1 downstairs, so if you're excited about seeing what our products do, that's great. But we're actually here to have an awesome conversation with my buddy Nirmani. Nirmani, take a moment, introduce yourselves, let the audience know who you are.
Sure. My name is Nirmani Kalahiti. I work for Abbott Laboratories. Originally, I'm from Nepal. Currently residing in San Francisco, beautiful Bay Area. I'm here since meeting in the teams 2019, last year and this year. And thank you for joining. I'll try to answer the question as much as I can on behalf of my team and other stakeholders. That, as she said, we are FDA regulated, highly regulated company, healthcare company. I don't know how many of you are in the healthcare industry. And also I'm from the medical device division field, which is which have a very sensitive data, including the PHI.
Right, like an incredible sense of both security as well as the sort of requirements gathering that you do, right? To the point where in certain environments, right, they're trying to shield even how electricity is monitored, because you can actually uncover what sort of pacemakers and things like that people have based off of the electrical output that they give. That's the sort of things that we're talking about. Although that's not Nirmani's space specifically. He's looking at me like right now. That was not the you're giving away top secrets right now phase. That was just an example of what we're talking about. So the interesting thing with Abbott, especially med devices and things like that, is it's a combination of tech, right? That's both physical and then also written. So got some questions here that I just want to start with, because we're talking specifically about quality, quantity, and speed. We want to choose 3, have a large portfolio and program practice that's bolstered by tools. So at Abbott, how do you balance the need for rapid product development and stringent regulatory timelines?
Thanks a lot, Sam. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
This is a great question to get started this conversation today. I believe that this is a struggle for everybody who is in this type of industry, especially FDA-regulated healthcare business and medical device field, as I mentioned. I'll try to answer what I face day to day, or my teams, other teams, including software development, system engineering, some of the manufacturing, and hardware as well. And some of even facilities started using Jira.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. So it's how do I call it? It's like constant tug of war.
Yep.
Especially when this timelines comes. Honestly, we lean on Azure or Azurity, as you mentioned earlier. So, we try to break things into smaller chunks and tackling the compliance, which are very critical items that need to be addressed ASAP. Somebody comes behind you and they say, you need to do this, right? So if it is, for example, if it is hitting regulatory deadline, we will push the non-essential features for the future releases so that we can prioritize and tackle those items at first. So it might be, it sounds like, not perfect, but it keeps moving, it let us keep moving. However, end of the day, we at Abbott leans on the agility and solely toward the regulatory compliance over the rapid development, right? So we group them by approval agency. For example, either 90 days approval or the annual reportable, things like that. But the quality reputation is very important at Abbott. Let me tell you one thing. Abbott's quality model, which is often referenced as build as if intended for your family. How important?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When you cook something, you cannot miss anything, right?
So is that internally? So you didn't mention this when we were prepping. I love that idea of build as if this is intended for your family. It's way better. I don't know if anybody's worked at a company that said spend money like it's your own money when you're out on trips that built as if you're building for your family. Is that something that's reflected in, because I know that you go into an office, right?
It's written everywhere.
It's written everywhere. So it's just that concept of, thinking about security first and quality first. It's
quality first.
really embedded in
Absolutely, quality is first.
Oh, that's really nice. Really nice.
Very, yeah.
Cool. Okay.
So that's how we prioritize.
So you mentioned also that there is the 90-day review cycle and the annual cycle. Tell us a little bit more about that.
I may not be a good person on that. There is a team that, not the one team, but many teams that follow that cycle. They may have 90 days, but I just throw the number and then annual, right? So, yeah.
In your role, how do you help facilitate that for?
So I forgot what I do. So I'm a Atlassian admin tool administrator, Jira, Bitbucket, and Confluence, and I set up. Let me give you a little bit of background again. I started when St. Jude Medical was there, and St. Jude Medical was acquired by Abbott. And St. Jude also was acquiring other small companies in the past. So we have some legacy instances coming to our overhead.
Data center?
Data center, still in data center. If you go in and ask other Abbott employees, they will be about 10 instances, and majority of them are in cloud already. But we are in the medical device division. We are not yet approved to go. Maybe down the road we'll have to.
I'm going to take a little detour because as an Atlassian implementation specialist for Abbott within the administration as well too, what are the sorts of things that will require, because this is something we're going to talk also with Josh about as they look at the federal gov cloud ability. So what are the sorts of things that will enable the groups that you work with to move to the cloud?
I have not, because they're a little bit within the same division. Also, we have different organizations. We are part of the BTS called Business Tech Services.
Yep.
And the others are from digital. So I have not worked closely. But being in the medical device division, as I mentioned, we have very sensitive data, which I cannot talk, and we can, that should not be in Jira ticket or comment or anything like that. For example, you gave the great example at the beginning. A lot of people don't know about that pacemaker. Yeah. So pacemaker has the serial number. And it comes from the market, and somebody say okay, it has a problem, and then they create the Jira issues and they wanted to, resolve that. And then accidentally, if you put the serial number there, you're done.
Yeah. Right.
So it can be tracked to the patient's health and other, personal health information. Yeah.
All right. Are there any specific workflows that you enable for your teams that you work with that really help with reducing delays or bottlenecks on any of those processes from a compliance standpoint?
Yes, Jira is great for that. When you say workflow, are you mentioning Jira's workflow or regular,
How do you actually facilitate the process? So using Jira, because tooling supports usually a people or an internal process. How does it help do that?
So it depends on different teams who approaches us. As I mentioned, we are at the main team of 7 to 8 in fluctuates depending on who is coming and who is going. But Jira is our lifesaver, including for the end users or the stakeholders. It helps for visibility and during the software development to streamline the development processes for sure. Jira improves the transparency. It helps tracks and addresses the bugs. As I mentioned, somebody comes with this after the post-market or something like that. And also it helps to, during the user acceptance testing.
How so?
So, before the final run, so somebody can, go ahead and put the ticket in Jira, and then depending on what their requirements, we try to customize the workflow, other configuration, and we try to address as much as possible and faster. And that way the issue also can be integrated with Bitbucket. And also we have used OffSub integration manager. I don't know if you know that helps to integrate between IBM Doors requirement to Jira, which is cool.
Yeah.
And people like it a lot.
Yeah. All right. And so there's multiple products that are also in use, even other. Like I said, it's been a while since I've heard Doors. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
From
IBM product, right?
From a requirements gathering
I'm not
standpoint.
sure if somebody is using here IBM Doors or IBM product.
So that helps you then connect it in with Jira through an integration, and all of these things I assume are behind your wall and then facilitate a full life cycle.
Yeah.
Has your organization seen any benefit from having this workflow in place in terms of productivity gains or to happiness?
So I don't want to lie, first of all, because I'm not speaking on behalf of everybody. But there are teams who are very, very happy using this whatever I explained.
Yeah.
But then there are teams who is still, doing the traditional way or, just using the Jira.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the traditional way then?
So what I mean is like not using the whatever I said, the integration part.
workflows, no
Yeah,
integrations.
exactly.
Yeah,
Just
manual.
using the creating ticket and resolving that.
All right. Okay. So
Flows.
So speed, so from our quality quantity speed, so the speed is enabled through those integrations, through that traceability. Let's talk a little bit, we talked about quality too, but you were mentioning all of those change items that are occurring. So a change request comes in hypothetically through, let's say, Doors or through the front door for your change management process. How then does your organization leverage that workflow to audit and to then pass what I believe is probably very, very, much more intense audits than the ones that I have to pass?
We directly do not involve in that process. As the administrator or the setting up with the process, but then we hear sometime those kind of things. So as I mentioned, maybe not a good person I am here today to answer that question. But so in probably your Are you referring to Kappa?
Mm-hmm.
So regarding the Kappa, when it comes on the audit or Kappa-related stuff, it's not in the picture of Jira in our organization.
Yep.
However, some teams or some organizations or the developers, they use custom field. They ask for the use custom field and source of issue where it is coming from.
Yep.
So for example, a custom field called Kappa.
Yeah.
And then that way you can do the tomorrow JQ filter and make the reports, and then that way they can prioritize.
Yep. Based off of so CAPA is a corrective and preventative action that needs to be taken once you have covered via the audit process that there's a critical issue. And there's a very similar process from our conversations that we're having with Josh around how they manage the multi-leveled approval process once they find a critical error in at the Air Force too as well. So
Amazing. I was thinking that I will learn more
from him being here
Yes,
too. Yes. So your teams, you do have teams though that are leveraging custom field inside of Jira in order to populate that data. And that data, I assume, it's getting taken out and then put into the more formal audit process that the organization runs.
Yeah, so they don't put like what audit related or Kappa related, but then it's like, okay, this product has issues, blah, 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 right? And then it's labeling Kappa.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a way they can prioritize, as I mentioned.
Yep.
Right? And then they can put it in their board and then do the sprint planning, returning.
And visualize all of that. Are there any specific requests from a data standpoint or a dashboarding standpoint that you get often from the teams that you work with in order to support this process?
Yes, but very few because we train in the past and then the leadership train other users.
Mm-hmm.
But then we also have EasyBI for Jira.
Okay.
For dashboard and reporting.
Mm-hmm.
We, as a team, we don't use it a lot, but once we set up, they know how to do it, how it works. So that helps. However, EasyBI Jira is great. It has a lot of benefits, but then at the same time, it does not help for you to monitor.
Mm-hmm. What do you use for monitoring then?
When you say monitoring, what is monitoring?
Monitoring, let's just say quality.
Well, quality monitoring, we don't have a specific tools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't have a specific tool.
So how does it happen?
You mean within the process where we are talking about,
Yeah.
or the what they?
Inside of your preventative management process?
I'm not involved in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you facilitate any tools though as part of your Atlassian staff with that?
No.
No. All right.
Yeah. The thing is, as I mentioned earlier, our team and myself is very busy for the migration process as a consolidation, as I mentioned in the very beginning, because we got legacy instances from other small companies that were part of the release.
Yes. Yeah. How are you then plotting the path for the migration while also continuing to keep the teams running and delivering at the same time?
So we have a team of 6, 7, as I mentioned, 7 IT independents, like from 20 numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And we divide the work distribution. So somebody is doing the migration from the dev instance to stage to production. And we do also, do the UAT from the stakeholders. And then some of our doing the day-to-day job and supporting them, how, their requirements is coming from. Yeah.
Awesome. I know that you spoke with the broader group that you work with around just kind of managing lots of concurrent initiatives that are going on. So you have the migration process that you're moving through. How do you also support your leaders in terms of them managing lots of different requests through the implementation of the Atlassian stack?
So first thing first comes like what are the requirements, right? And depending on the requirements, we prioritize just like how as a process go, right? So we see who is in need of what kind of, right. So maybe somebody is needed for the audit process, and they need to set up the project. So at the same time, we create a separate Jira project that helps, and using the same workflow, which is they are working currently. Some of the team uses the custom field call program. That helps them as well. So that way, for example, as I said, path audit or current development, whatever, right? So first thing first, Jira project, separate Jira project.
Separate Jira project.
Yes.
And then what comes after?
So we set up, we use the configuration manager for Jira to copy the same Jira project, so they have the same exact configuration. And we set it up and they can go from there.
And then do the testing.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. On that quantity side too, is there any concept or construct internally at Abbott around how delivery teams then scale? Because I know that you all are growing while you're going through this transition, this change to the cloud environment.
It depends. Say that one more time.
Yeah. So for your groups that you're working with as they scale, how are you building the sorts of environments that are going to grow with them?
It varies from team to team. So from software development to system engineering, quality. So we I think I did not mention the quality team also uses Jira a lot.
Yep.
So I was with the quality last week, helping to set up absolutely what they are doing today. We also use ClearQuest for issue tracking. I don't know if you know ClearQuest.
Yep.
You know.
Yes. So yeah.
It's kind of sunsetting product, but that's one of the goal for us to migrate everybody from issue tracking. ClearQuest. So they wanted to have the same process, and I've been helping them using automation, Jira's automation, how the requirement to fulfill their requirements. And then also we use adaptivist behavior.
Script.
Yeah.
To facilitate that. Yeah. Of course. So there's a lot of additional tools that are being pulled in to facilitate the workflows. Without giving us too much insight, how many steps then are there on the quality team side in terms of supporting the overarching system?
So on the side of quality, maybe I can't come, but setting up that process is always we have the 3 steps. Goal, or like we set up the dev instance, we set up the steps, and then we go on the production. When they're ready, okay, let's create the project and do what I have.
Thanks. How far along are you then on all of these migrations?
So it's pain. I don't want to talk today because I'm here for other stuff, right?
We're only going to focus on the happy parts, not the
Yeah, I know.
parts.
It's the end of the day of our or the teams, right? The migration process. I don't want to say what version of Jira we're using, but then it's really old. There are about 100 some projects and about 50,000 issues that I need to migrate within another quarter. Which is painful and a lot of attachments.
Yeah.
And the destination server is way higher. So I'll see.
So 2 questions on that then. How do you work with your internal enablement group to make sure that as you go through those jumps and conversions that the end users know what to expect?
So we work closely with the leadership, especially the managers, director of the identity. So we work closely with the managers, and then we facilitate how they wanted the current process versus tomorrow, right? And we go. Great.
Fantastic. Okay, so finishing up our conversation today, I want to know for you, what metrics then are the ones that you look for around indicators for success?
So each users or each team has a different way of doing it.
And for you in supporting the overarching view, what does that look like?
The sprint planning story points,
Yep.
right? So, and then some of the users during this sprint planning, they use the free tool pointing forward.
Yep.
Have you heard?
Yeah, planning forward.
Yeah. So that's a really cool. And then people use the burnout charts. I think I mentioned about the EasyBI. EasyBI also help on that, but then it's not very helpful. Just like Jira. Jira is out of the box. It has a lot. So that's the one thing we or the other users, and they during the reports like how they have committed, created versus resolved, those kind of things, and velocity. Yeah.
And for you and your team on the migration path and the administrative support, what sorts of metrics do you look at?
It's the same, but we do not use that kind of thing in our team because it does not work always.
Right. So what are
It does not work.
What do you look at?
So we do the team meetings every day, chat on there, and then we go from the flow. Because I am probably one of my team is using or helping the customer where he has the Jenkins issues, and then that is down for like a couple of hours. Then we are working on whatever we have from this week planning, and then that doesn't work because being in the support and especially being where I mentioned my background.
Yep.
It does not always help, and I'm sorry to tell you guys, but then whoever we support as the stakeholders, they are doing great.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you look more at probably flow-based metrics of how
Exactly.
things are moving through queue
Exactly.
and moving through systems.
Yeah, just like that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the Agile process doesn't work on my team.
Well, an agile process works, just not literal Scrum, it sounds like. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Hermione, is there anything that we missed that you wanted to just mention?
I guess not. But the application, other apps are really helpful during our process. As I mentioned, FR Configuration Manager, that is very helpful not only for the migration of one instance to another instance, but also if you need to configure or customize anything, workflow, custom fields, other stuff that helps from change management process as well, from stage to development, and then the behaviors, of course, script runner behaviors. There is a team they wanted to have. Hey, I don't want to see. Let me create a tab, another custom field tab, but then populate this tab only when this field's value is this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is part of the quality. That's what they're doing is limit and have a process.
Fabulous. So you're using a lot of automation, a lot of supporting tools.
Yes.
Entirety of the stack, plus it's fitting into a pretty major, massive ecosystem that exists at Abbott. Not a small task. Also managing a migration to cloud and to a high security environment. I want to thank you for taking some time today at the end of team, and I want to thank all of you for joining this conversation with Nirmani. So if there's any questions, we'll be hanging around here to chat about them. But thanks again for you all joining this discussion.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity.